Good morning. I get to introduce Austin Garrison. I didn't know a lot about him, but I found out a couple really cool things. Austin hails originally from Colorado Springs, Colorado, spending his childhood years in Fort Collins. But after being deemed educated sufficiently to be an engineer, he spent time in Tulsa, Houston, and Denver before traveling to the California Bay Area to attend graduate school at Berkeley. A promise of a steady paycheck and a great beach for volleyball lured him to the Southern California coast and ultimately to Manhattan Beach. Here he met his wife, Katie. They live with their 3 children, Barbara, Kristen, and Jim. Austin works in finance and spends his spare time shuttling kids to activities, playing a little volleyball, and some tennis too. However, I found out Austin has a hidden talent that few of his friends and acquaintances are aware of. Or at this point, I should say something like he's conquering world hunger and has found the solution to world peace. Not. Austin is a closet handyman. And like my husband, Russ, he can hammer a nail in the wall and maybe locate the plunger when necessary. However, unlike Russ, he has not just one, not just 2, but 3 toolboxes, all of them collecting dust. But they are there, if they should be needed. This makes him look like he knows what he's doing. However, his wife knows the truth. Austin and Katie have attended MBCC for 7 years. Austin was a member of the Senior Minister Search Committee and currently serves on the Ops Board. Just in case you guys need a handyman, may I suggest you call Dennis?
Well, thank you, Charlie. That was flattering. Mark told me my job today was to hold a piece of stained glass. This speech thing comes as a bit of a surprise. And if you may recall, last time they gave me a microphone here, I hosted an impromptu fashion show and kissed the Pope's ring. Charlie was a co-conspirator in that event, so I'm a little surprised that he gave me the microphone again, but thank you for your welcome. In preparing for this talk about faith and my faith journey, I did a little bit of research. Those of you who know me won't be surprised by this. I'm an engineer and a finance guy, and I like to be thorough. But during my research, I discovered it is surprisingly hard to find a definition for faith journey. Wikipedia doesn't actually have a definition for faith journey. That's surprising to me. They have a lot of references to people talking about their own faith journey. I tried faithjourney.com. And I was treated to ads for wedding chapels, including one of which offered an organic and recyclable wedding. I found the recyclable component a little bit disturbing, given the sense of commitment that is supposed to happen with a wedding. I figured my error is that a faith journey should be a nonprofit venture, so I tried faithjourney.org, and there was an ad for solar panels. So you can check this out. This is not made up. I did learn in my research, however, that all major religions have a concept of a faith journey. Doesn't matter whether it's Islam, Judaism, Hindu, Baha'i, Mormonism, or others. Now, some of these journeys incorporate a physical journey, like a pilgrimage, but some are purely spiritual. So you'd think, since we're all doing this together and it's not denomination dependent, we would have a very clear idea, a clear definition of what a faith journey is, but this is not the case. It's really not the case for me. So I created my own definition. A journey of faith develops your relationship with God and those around you along a path that winds through your life. I may submit that to Wikipedia. Now, when reading about other people's faith journeys, most of these stories have a defining event wrapped around typically a tragedy, a descent into despair, a loss of a loved one or a child, a severe accident, terminal illness, and more. There's some single critical event, and typically the person undergoes a significant spiritual transformation after this event occurs. I can't claim that distinction. I've always had a sense of faith, but haven't radically changed my perspective due to a single life event. I like to think that I have a quiet faith. I prefer to show my faith by actions rather than words. I'm frankly in awe of the apostles and prophets who would proclaim their faith to frequently hostile crowds. That doesn't define my style nor my journey. My faith is that there's always someone beside me, someone who is accompanying me, celebrating the good things, giving me strength in the low times. But my journey started in Colorado, which Charlie mentioned. In my home, we went to church, although we didn't talk about faith or spirituality much inside of our home. On Sundays, you went to church. I had to wear a tie and uncomfortable shoes. And as a child, without the benefit of a deeper spiritual understanding, church was a tedious experience. After Sunday school in our church, we would get to go to the main service with our parents and sit through the whole thing, and this included the sermon. Apologies to ministers present, but for an 8-year-old boy, a sermon is a squirm in the pew type of experience. As a child, I heard "sit still" in church as often as I did "amen." However, this church offered a strong youth program, and gradually it became a favorite hangout of mine. Church represented a good and comfortable haven. It was here that a number of kids from my junior high school, which is what we called the middle school in Colorado, and high school attended church, and it was here that I went through confirmation with my friends. My college years and early work years could be termed the secular years in my life. I traveled a lot, worked hard, partied a little, but I made very little progress on my faith journey. I carried my confirmation Bible with me to all the new towns I moved to, but I rarely opened it. I would occasionally go to church, not for any deep spiritual need, but primarily to meet people in a new town. That's not necessarily a bad reason to go to church, but there wasn't much deeper beyond that. Despite the lack of a church influence, I did gain perspective on my faith through a variety of life experiences. Through my travels, I got to meet people outside of the relatively sheltered existence I had in Colorado. I met people that were mired in extreme poverty. I witnessed people with no faith, cruel people, generous people, unfaithful people, loving people, bigots, racists, and many others. I arrived in California to attend graduate school at Berkeley and then moved to Southern California to pursue a career. My good friend introduced me to Katie, thinking we might have something in common. Naturally, she quickly fell for my charms. I have written in my notes here, wait for hysterical laughter. I see that was appropriate. Meeting Katie represented a major step forward in my faith journey. Katie and her parents especially live lives what I would call exemplary Christianity. They seek to help others without regard to their own benefit and have made a difference in many lives through their actions. I particularly became close with my father-in-law, who became my adopted father, figuratively. After our wedding, Katie and I enjoyed a few years together without children, and then we were blessed with our 3 children. Our children, like all, come into this world truly innocent and free of cynicism, which sometimes afflicts me. And they are a tremendous affirmation of faith, frankly. Their unabashed joy and positive outlook helps me reprioritize on a daily basis. Katie and I, near this time, decided that a close relationship with the church was necessary to support ourselves and our relationship as well as our children as they developed. While we both felt strong individually in our faith, we knew our children could benefit from others who set a strong Christian example. Since our families lived far away, frankly, having a church family was appealing as well. So we went church shopping. We visited most of the major Christian churches within 20 minutes of Manhattan Beach. Our criteria was fairly simple. We wanted something with a sense of tradition, a desire born out of our upbringing in Michigan and Colorado. And we wanted a church with an open perspective and one with a tradition of music. So we became active in our church, first at Riviera United Methodist and now Manhattan Beach Community Church. As Catherine related so well in her talk, that has been important to us in the development of our faith journey as well as support for our family. So after a wonderful marriage, which continues. Sorry, dear, I just realized how that sounded when I said it. So with my ongoing wonderful marriage, beautiful children, and an association with a great church family, these secular years have ended and my faith journey has really resumed. This was especially important with the passing of my father-in-law, Sid, recently, who, as I mentioned earlier, was like a father to me, and the support of this community and those around me was tremendously important during that time. Now, what I've learned during my travels, both physical as well as spiritual, is that there's no single right way to travel the path of a faith journey. Anyone who tells you differently is probably trying to sell you a book. Unfortunately, there is no map. It would be great if there were a faith journey Thomas guide. And for my children's benefit and for Catherine, that's a map that's actually printed on paper. Maybe someday there'll be a faith journey app, but there's not one currently. We do have the tools needed, however, in the Bible. You don't really need to be a Bible scholar to quickly find useful references, which is good because I'm not. The scripture from John, which we heard today, relates to Jesus praying for his followers, and that even though Jesus will leave the world, his followers remain to continue their faith journey. And in Psalm 16, verse 11, it begins, "You make known to me the path of life." Now, during my journey, I did manage to pick up at least one good habit. That habit simply is trying to associate with good people. A friend of mine once said to me, "Surround yourself with good people and good things tend to happen." This doesn't always require deeply spiritual people, just people with strong ethics, faithfulness, a clear head, and a sense of humor helps. All of these people really become an extended family. Family here is a broad definition. I think it's applicable to anyone, whether you have direct family with you or not. It can be close friends, people in your church, or any other family unit. However, this is the unit where you share your hardest problems and your biggest joys. For me, this group encourages me in my positive choices and thinking. This group helps me to affirm my faith. So for me, a significant part of my journey has been these good people that I've met along the way. This especially includes my wife and my family, but also includes friends and this church community. Now, when you surround yourself with such a group, it can sometimes get a bit noisy, both internally as well as, frankly, just sometimes loud. Anybody who's been to our home will understand this. Maya Angelou reportedly said in one of her last tweets prior to her passing, she said, "Listen to yourself, and in that quietude, you can hear the voice of God." Now, as wonderful as she was, and this quote is, I like to believe that you can hear the voice of God through the hubbub and noise of many good people and a great family. Now, in a display of irony, Pastor Mark has asked us to keep our remarks brief. So I will close with this thought. I fully expect my faith journey to continue in a nonlinear path. It will zig, it might zag. It is likely when I come to a fork, I will not have the insight of a Robert Frost moment, and I might initially choose the wrong path. However, I've surrounded myself with my family and good people of the church, and I have faith that the Lord and these companions will help me recognize the good choices. Thank you for being in my community, and thank you for your support, and God bless you all.